Right, if we sit there.
Yeah.
We should be able to be heard by the adoring public, Mr. Coleman. There we are. Right, viewers. I'm just going to get my other phone so we can log into the comment section and see what's going on. We are live. Mr. Coleman is here. Just move around. There we go. Move it around. There we are.
Oh,
there we are.
There we go.
It's always the way you do live videos. It's always interesting getting on. Mr. Coleman is here with me. We are in. Hello, Mr. Saxby. Good evening, sir. We've been in a social bubble since June of last year.
That's right.
Just to step that out of the way first, that's why we're able to do this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it.
Exactly.
So there we go. Right, so if I just find my thing running here so I can keep a track of the comments. Don't worry, Mr. Saxby. Sure that you can catch up on them if you need to on the catch-up service. There we go. So I've had this running in the background, then be able to keep up with what's going on. There we go. So start that now, and I'll be able to see the comments as they go on. I'll just put that on pause so I can see that live thing running. Or just turn the volume down or something.
Down.
On this one, turn it on, so I can't hear us. Mark on motoring. There we go. Mark on motoring. Good evening. So, yes, good evening, sir. There we are. So we're all okay. Paul Galtieri. Good evening, Joseph. I'm lying in hospital with a nasty gallbladder attack.
Wow. I know that feeling.
Paulie, I hope you get well soon. I'm sorry to hear that. It's very nice of you to join us, even if you're in hospital. That's very good of you.
Yes,
wow.
Get well soon, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Hardback Ash 1234 MV or no, I don't know what that means.
Oh, it means hello.
Yeah, hello. How do you both? Yes, we're doing well, thank you.
Yeah, we're good.
If you have any questions specifically for Mr. Coleman, just make sure you put them in. I'm just keeping a sort of eye on them on this phone over here. It's easier to keep an eye on them rather than on what device you're using. It's a tip I learnt from Ian Seabrook, actually. That. Paulie, yes, thanks much appreciated. Okay, well, I hope you get well really soon. It's not the best place to spend Easter Monday evening, is it?
No, it's not.
Not really, no.
Having dealt with a gallbladder before, I feel your pain, mate. It ain't nice.
No, exactly. Right. Yes. Anybody got any questions specifically for Mr. Coleman? I know there's not too many of you on. There's only 10 of you at the moment. So if you could like the video as well, that'd be very much appreciated. When Mr. Coleman gets to 1,000 subscribers, which we hope will be not too long,
soon.
then you'll be able to do your own live stream, won't you?
I will. Yes.
Yeah. If you have below 1,000 subscribers, you can only do a live stream on a desktop PC, which isn't the best.
Right.
Yeah, I've tried and it was terrible. It's absolutely terrible. That's why they make you wait until to use a phone. Oh, there we are. That's better, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
a lot better. Right. Okay. Anybody else got anything? We've got 13 people so far on here. That's a really good. Harback 1234. Can you recommend a book of engines for a beginner, please?
Anything that from Haynes back in the day. Anything that's like, Fiesta, Cavalier, anything like that. As long as you've got a book of a breakdown of engines, it'll tell you exactly what's in it. You know, that particular engine. Or there's some of the old auto data books that you can still pick up from eBay relatively cheaply, and they're what I did back in the day. I've still got all them. They're up the loft somewhere. So yeah, anything auto data or Haynes, you'll be well away. It'll be fine.
Auto data is what you still use, isn't it?
Auto data is what I still use.
Cars.
Yeah, and it's all computer based now. And so yeah, I've still got all the auto data. In fact, give me 1 minute.
Brilliant advice. Okay, well, it's Mr. Coleman, so it's bound to be brilliant advice. He's always got good advice. Jonathan Bramble. There is a Rover 213 near me for £450. If you're tempted, it's on eBay. The only problem with a Rover 213 for £450 is there's likely to be problems with it, I would say, at that sort of money. Biggest problem on those, of course, is rust. The SD3s, as the whole model range was called, were terribly, terribly rusty, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Yeah, they weren't very good. Have a look. Going back to your question about books. Try and see if you can find the AA car care manuals. Maintenance, super service. There's a lovely picture of a Cortina on the front.
Look at this picture here. What is that? Is that Cortina as well?
I think it is, yeah.
That's a Dolomite.
But basically, if you can find all of those types of books, they're all on eBay for like £1 a piece. Have them bought, and they're a good laugh, and there's a lot of stuff in there that you need to do.
We've got a question from Stephen Smith. This is an interesting question, Mr. Coleman. How do I get more horsepower out of my 1.2 16-valve Hyundai A10? What engine is that? Is that the one with the cam belt in it?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't. It's go and buy another car. If you want to go faster, go and buy another car. There's not a lot you can do with them. I don't think there's any performance parts available at all. So yeah, I would, if you want to go faster, invest something with a bigger engine.
I mean,
yeah, I've got to go on that.
Buy something like an MG3. That's got that is very tunable, and they tend to handle it better than an i10.
Bad books, good evening.
Hardback 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Look out for that. Yeah, great. Bad books, excuse me, sir. Stephen says Kappa engine. 1.2 Kappa. There's not a lot you can do with that, really.
Yeah,
still.
there's nothing you can do
No,
with that.
not really.
No. Sorry, mate. Can't help you on that one.
Jonathan Bramble. I recommend Steve Saxby's Ford books. Excellent read and pictures.
Yeah.
You got those, haven't you, Mr. Coleman?
I think so, yeah. I think so. Not to hand, but I knew these were to hand.
Uh-oh!
No.
No, sorry. That we don't talk about diesels on this channel. Sorry. Next question. Unfortunately. Yes, indeed. No, sorry, no, wrong channel. Go and speak to Matt of Furious Driving, because he doesn't have the same policies that we do. No. Oh yeah, exists for Saxby. How dare you? Ooh. Okay. John Robbo with the Alpha Twin Spark engine. Sorry, much else. Don't apologise for mentioning Alphas. My gosh, don't apologise. We love Alphas. Do both electrodes fire at the same time, or is there a delay?
Depending on what application, what car it's in. Some they fire straight away or evenly. Some the main spark plug will fire at the determined TDC, or say 6 degrees before TDC, and the other little spark plug will fire probably 10 or 12 degrees after top dead centre as a way of improving emissions. So it all depends on what car it's in. Like my new 166, for instance, they fire unevenly rather than evenly because it's a later engine.
Okay.
A3 156 twin spark. That'll be. Ooh.
Is that on the cusp of 2?
Yeah. I'll need to look into that one. It's the year that's with that. So yeah, let me. I'll get back to you on that one. It will probably fire evenly. At hey, what's going on here?
It's just the WhatsApp thing coming on my screen.
Yeah, they'll probably fire evenly, but if it's a late 03, it'll probably be unevenly because of the whether it's a CF2 or a CF3 engine, and there's the amount of catalyst it has on it. So hopefully that'll help you out.
So Mark on motoring, I presume this is to do with his. I think it's a '99 Megane 1.6 coupe.
Yeah.
Any tips for changing engine mounts where the engine is mounted to the subframe?
Yeah, just secure the engine. If you're changing a lower engine mount, there's nothing wrong with you putting a jack with a piece of wood under the sump or the gearbox and supporting the weight of the engine, so you can actually get in and take the engine mount off. Because once you've supported the engine, there's not going to be no weight on the engine mount, so it's just it's just as easy as changing a wheel. So relatively easy to do. Yeah, 1997 they will be firing evenly.
Yeah, sorry, I thought it was a '99 Megane coupe. It's a '97. Yeah. Sorry, Mark, I got that wrong. I've driven so many Meganes pre-facelift ones. I just get really confused as to what year everything is. Sorry about that. Right, okay. Any more questions, particularly Mr. Coleman? We've only been going 10 minutes. That's too long. John Robert, well, thanks. I'm sorry to mention Alphas of Mr. Coleman's woes. Well, they're getting fixed.
It's getting fixed. It's actually being collected tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm going to get the engine out at the weekend and see what's gone on, and I shall be going up maybe this weekend, but I'm owed some hours at work, so the following week, so hopefully around about the 14th or the 15th, I'll be doing a bit of a video. So yeah, we'll see what's gone, see what detritus lies in the engine. So it's going to be sorted.
Yeah.
Detritus.
Okay, Mr. Kirk, this is for you again, Mr. Common. Hobnut likes to stroke his ratchet. I hope that's not expression for something else. Have you got a particular tool that you enjoy using?
I like using them all, but I like using hand tools because these are what earn me my living, and I like to use hand tools as often as I can. Using air tools, yeah, I have to a lot of the time, and same with the electric stuff. But I like using hand tools. I like using, I do like using a torque wrench. And I like using a torque wrench correctly, and I've also got one of my favourite tools in my toolbox. Is a very old, and I still use it. I keep it calibrated. Is a snap-on inch pound torque wrench on a quarter drive, and that thing's so precise. It's great. So there's a lot of tools I like to use. I'm not going to buy. I always thought, should I do a toolbox tour on my channel? But what I use and do at home, which is what you guys are involved with, it's just what everybody else would have in their own, in their own toolbox with just a bit of fancy stuff to help me out because of what I do. So that's what I like to do. I like to use all my tools, but my favourite tool when I get the chance to use it is a quarter drive inch pound ratchet.
Yeah, there we go. Great answer. Yeah, indeed, a answer. Thank you, Sean. Right, any of the rest of you got any more questions? Oh, Jonathan Bramble. I saw a Mitsubishi FTO today.
Yeah.
It had an awful bottom end lock, an old lady driving it. The FTOs are not very expensive. They're quite cheap. It's quite surprising actually those. So with those, I think it's one that's got a 2-litre V6 in it or something. You ever worked on one of those, Mr. Common?
No, I did some bits and bobs on my mum's one back in the day. She had a GTO. She bought one brand new because she was a bit posh and fancy. They were tight, but the FTOs, I've MOT'd a couple before and they're not good. They're brilliant.
They were only officially imported, I think, right in production, which would be about 2000.
So, yeah.
You do see this of your grey import, but I've never driven one of those. Don't know much about those. John Robbo, what's the worst car both of you ever bought that we don't know about? I will let Mr. Colburn answer because he has more cars than me.
There's been quite a few. Vauxhall Astra van was a good one.
What year was that?
It's a 2004 sportive Astra van.
So it's a G.
Yeah. And I'll put 3 engines in that, and I still couldn't cure any faults on it. It had some sort of a massive electrical fault on it somewhere, and I'm not good with car electrics at all. And I just ended up throwing the towel in with that, and over the bridge it went, and sold the engines that I bought, and got my money back. That was a good one.
C3 wasn't great, was it?
C3 wasn't great, but the C3 we knew the C3 wasn't going to be good anyway, and it proved some. Well, I knew it wasn't going to be. I knew it was a bad car, but I didn't realise it was as bad as a C3 could be. I don't know whether that computes in the same sentence to me, but yeah, that car was an absolute toilet.
The thing about that is it had been really badly repaired on both sides of the sills, and the sills were literally just containing mostly rust and bathroom sealant.
Yeah.
And we knocked it out with a hammer. It just went all over the drive. I mean, I drove it and it was awful. The handling was absolutely terrible, and it was no power, absolutely no power at all. I mean, that engine's okay, maybe in a 205 or a 106, but it's not okay in a C3 because it's got a lot more safety equipment in it.
Yeah.
And it was they're just not good cars, C3s, and that was a very bad example of one. It was a fantastic video. We had the best Saturday back in September doing that, and the problem was the brakes also almost killed us at a roundabout. Yeah. That was another thing. The brakes almost killed us. So yeah, that was terrible.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
It was that long ago.
My Dolomite, what I had in 2005, wasn't great, but then it's a British Leyland car. You don't really expect much.
No.
My post-pacer Ferrari 45 1.4 Club SE was quite bad. The post-facer 45s are not the best ones.
No.
The Astra Twin Top I had wasn't great. That wasn't marvellous. That wasn't a great car. It's funny, both mid-2000s Vauxhalls is sort of some of the worst cars we've actually had. 45 V6 hasn't been that reliable, but then I knew kind of it wouldn't be perfect when I bought it. So and it's actually got a lot better now, and it's working well. Right, next question is from Mr. Saxby. Thoughts on Dacia, Mr. Coleman? You don't have any, do you?
No.
No. I've driven a Logan MCV with a forbidden fuel engine in it, and to be honest, it wasn't that bad considering how much you paid for it. But when I did the sort of PCP calculations on that compared with the Toledo I bought, the
Evening Trab.
the Toledo was a much better car, and it was actually cheaper to buy on finance than the Dacia was, and there really was no comparison with the interior quality.
Yeah.
If you're buying cash, you're going to keep the car a long time, and you buy the petrol one, because we can't talk about diesel anyway. So if you've got a petrol one, it might be good for someone who's doing low mileage, but
They're not very good.
I'd probably recommend just going up slightly and going into MGs where you get a 7-year warranty if you don't want a Dacia. Go and get an MG instead, or a Sanyong or something like that. If you really want, a nice long warranty and paint ownership experience, not much money, buy a Sanyong or an MG.
Yeah, well, in the trade, the Dacia Duster is actually called the Dacia Ruster.
Dacia Ruster,
yeah, the Ruster, because that's exactly what they do. They're not very good.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've never driven any other type of Dacia, just that one.
You see one that's got a rusty tailgate where the number plate is. Run for the hills because the rest of it will be gone.
Mind you, Mr. Buff has got a Dacia Stepway in his family, and it's got the forbidden fuel engine, so we can't talk about it anyway. But apparently, it's been okay.
Yeah, it should be. The Rusters are terrible.
Yeah, Rusters, yes. Right, any other questions? So, going to give you Mr. Travelly. You got any other questions, particularly Mr. Coleman, because of course we don't get to go on especially Mr. Coleman too often.
No, actually, in my house this time round.
We are, and we are abiding by all government procedures.
Yes,
indeed. Because I actually have been filming today and doing some nice videos down near Daventry.
You've run out of drink. Would you like another one?
Not another beer, so I might have to be sensible and just go for a normal. With...
I'll go and get you a drink.
Yes, Mr. Saxby, where is Sir Depeche Mode? Sir Depeche Mode did know about the live stream, I'm sure. He's just not here. Travelly, we'll have to come back to your question in a while because that's a Mr. Coleman question. That's a difficult question for me as well. Actually, that's a hard question to answer.
Lemon Fanta, mate.
Yes, please. Thank you. It's a difficult question, that one. Right, Mr. Coleman. The question is: 1988 or E-Reg, Ford Fiesta XR2 or Nova GTE?
Nova GTE all day.
Well, why is the GTE such better?
Well, for one, it breaks the mould. It's a bit different because everybody had the XR2, and they're a lot of fun. But my personal preference would be the Nova GTE because they're great, and having driven one and owned one, they're fantastic, particularly in grey. And only ever change gear on one of those engines, even if it's in a Cavalier as well. Only ever change gear when the engine's about to blow up, and there's always plenty more to go. So the Vauxhall all day for me.
I can't remember if it's a family 1 or family 2 engine there. It's one of the two.
Well. We used to call them the 8 valves.
Yeah. It's one of the two. It's one of those. I probably have the Nova as well. I like the Mark II Fiestas. I've driven a Mark II Fiesta recently. I do really like them, and quite a few people in my family had a Mark II Fiesta when I was younger, and there's a viewer I know who I'm not going to name who has an immaculate '89 Mark II XR2. It's one of the last ones. He's had it from new, and it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, but probably the XR2s these days are probably more common than a GTE because the GTEs used to get absolutely thrashed, stolen, crash, rust.
Max powered.
Sorry?
Max power
and all that stuff. The XR2s, for some reason, weren't as common for that. I don't know why, but they weren't. So go to Paulie again.
Same.
Do you think the Rover 800 would have been better if it was rear-wheel drive?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's nothing wrong with the SD1 floor pan, and they could have really, if they had a bit more finances and they weren't going in with Honda, they could have stretched the rear-wheel drive setup from the SD1 and into the 800, and I think it would have been brilliant. That's what I would have done.
I think Honda, because they were just primarily, I think that every car they'd made up to that point was front wheel drive. I don't think they'd made a rear wheel drive car
I think
at that
many of them
particular
were.
point, and
I
so they
think
just
many of
didn't have
them
any
were.
experience with doing it, and they
Yeah.
wanted essentially something that was a very, very large Civic, which is what the sort of Legend and the 800 sort of are. It's
Yeah.
a similar type of suspension on those. And I
Yeah.
think the 800 is a pretty good car. I quite like them, but if it'd been rear wheel drive, it probably would have been a little
I
bit
always
better.
wanted a Honda leg end until I found out that they were front wheel drive, and then I didn't want one anymore.
Yeah, but we do sort of quite both of us quite fancy getting a later one, like a 3.2 or something. We kind of like those. Yeah, Jonathan Bramble's got another question. What are your thoughts on today's modern car colours? Every car is black or silver.
Yeah.
70s, 80s were the best, yellows, browns, greens. If you look at a chart of the most popular car colours at the moment, silver's falling out really quickly, actually.
It is.
It's becoming a far less common colour, which is actually why I don't mind having two silver cars, because it's getting to be a rarer colour. It's black and white and grey, and that's it. That's all the colours there pretty much are.
Yeah.
There's sometimes red or blue, but other colours are really, really uncommon now. And if you go to, say, car supermarket, which I went to recently when I did a job back in January to do a car, it was full of Audis, BMWs, and Mercedes, and they were all white, black, or grey,
Yeah.
pretty much. That's sort of 15 plate to sort of 18 plate.
They're always really depressing colours as well, you know, like bank holiday washout grey, and stab yourself in the neck silver, and it's just really I find it really depressing, the colours of modern cars, and yeah, like a decent green or a decent deep red or yellows or blues and all that kind of stuff, because they all look the same. It just makes you look like a rep, and it doesn't interest me one bit. So yeah, big ups to the better colours.
The colour that you don't see on most modern cars, I think there are only about two or three manufacturers who do this now, is dark green. It was a very common colour in the 90s. I mean,
Alpha are doing it with the Stelvio and the Giulia.
yeah, it's Alfa Romeo, Ford, Skoda, and Land Rover.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's all the people who do
Yeah.
dark green now. And trying to get a beige leather interior is pretty difficult now as well. The interiors are just black mainly, and that's about it. So yeah, I'm not a fan because I can't get a dark green car anymore unless I buy one of those four makes. I think on the Alphas, it's pretty much just the Giulia and Stelvio, isn't it? That have that colour option. So yeah. Guess who's arrived? It's Sir Depeche Mode has arrived.
Wow.
He's asking about the MG3. What are the thoughts on Laser Blue? Laser Blue for me is the best MG3 colour there is.
Is that the same colour as IKEA blue?
I don't. It's similar.
Yeah.
That's the best colour. The colours are like, I think there's spiced orange. There's red. I fully forget the name of that. There's black and white and silver, and that's it. There's not many colours on MG3.
No.
I prefer, that's my favourite colour is the blue one. Mr. Saxby, Volkswagen has a yellowy gold colour. I've seen the Arteon in that colour, the sort of sandy colour. Mr. Saxby, yes, the Sir Depeche Mode is here. Bad Books. Actually, no, Josh from Bramble first. The Ford Gears had some lovely colours. You were talking about ones in the 80s. Yes, they did. Yes, lovely colours.
I've just read the next one. I'm going to come on to that.
So, Bad Books. More of an observation. Mr. Coleman must take the prize for servicing his cars without getting oil or antifreeze all over the drive.
You're not the first person to notice that, mate. A few people have commented, and way before I used to have my channel, when I used to just be working on cars all the time and doing events at shows and all that kind of stuff. Everybody used to say, "God, he's got a steady hand. Look at that!" And it's just one thing I've always done, because she's so used to doing that particular thing. Whether it's pouring oil, putting antifreeze in, brake fluid, or whatever. It just becomes with experience. You know where to put that drip tray. You know the angles that you're going to be taking and stuff. And it's just something that I pride myself in as being a tidy worker. And yeah, I do enjoy being clean and tidy. I know I'm a rough arse mechanic at the end of the day, but one thing I hate is mess. And because I do a lot of my work on my cars at home, I don't want oil all over the place, and it's just something that I've become used to doing. So thanks, thanks for noticing that, mate. That means a lot.
Yes, but also said to Sir Depeche Mode, as he's now calling himself. Sir Depeche Mode, our cat is called Sir Brucey.
Sir Brucey.
Sir Brucey, yeah. Maybe after the late Bruce Forsyth.
Oh, has he got?
Was he a sir? Was he a sir?
I think he was. Yeah.
Maybe towards the end, yeah, possibly. Mr. Saxby, Jeep Renegade, some intriguing colours. Yeah, there's some orange and stuff. I'm not a massive fan of a Jeep Renegade.
Terrible cars.
It's just based on like a Fiat 500X platform. Just go out and buy a Sanyong or an MG. If you're going to want that side of the car, just buy one with a nice, decent warranty, which is very good value. Don't buy a 500X or a Jeep Renegade. Oh, you'll like this, sir. Soda Patch Mode. It must be Hello Yellow Stripe Tracking. I had a Hello Yellow MG3 for a week from MG Motor UK, and it wasn't my favourite colour, but for the target market that car is, and that's the standard colour you get in that range. It's the no-cost option one. A lot of people like it. Certainly, if your name is Joe Miller from Miller Corner, then you love it. You like this, Mr. Coleman. Which other executive car could compete with the Senator 24 valve as a motorway patrol car in the 90s?
Volvo 960 with a manual gearbox.
With 3 litre? Yep.
Yeah, early one. It's got no cats on it, no driver aids. Them things. You get manual one of them, they fly. So yeah, that'll keep up with Senator all day long.
What about an 850 T5?
It's a bit before the Senator.
Yeah, Senator finished back to 93, 94.
That's why, yeah. So I'll stick with an early 960. I think that just to be different, because we did use a lot of Volvos back in the 90s, and if they used a 960, an early 960, you'd have been well away with that.
Yeah, they're really comfortable as well. It's pretty comfortable. So Depeche Mode, nothing like a cat, sir. I didn't suggest you did, sir. I thought you looked like your profile picture. We don't know because we've not met in person, but I presume you look like that. Can you see that's really small? It's tiny.
Wow.
Yeah. Presume you look like a profile picture, sir. Mr. Saxby, my mother has one and she really likes it. I'm not too sure though. Is that Jeep Renegade? I'm not a massive fan of them. I just go out and buy a Sanyong because it will be reliable and it's cheap and it's a load of equipment. Bad books. The cat was Sir before Sir Bruce Forsyth. Oh, yeah. I see. Okay. Sean Cook. This is an interesting one. I think Mr. Coleman and I might actually sort of differ on this question. It's 1994.
Yeah.
Would you buy a Ford Mondeo, Cavalier, Montego, or a Passat? All has to be a 2 litre.
Cavalier.
That wasn't a V6, was it, at the time?
No, because they were all 2.5s. The V6
4-cylinder, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd have a Cavalier, mate. Purely because the Cavalier was, yes, it was a reps car, but it was a slightly higher end reps car. And to be honest with you, I don't like the Mark 1 Mondeo. I think it's a terrible car, unless it's a V6. Passat, I don't do Volkswagen at all. Volkswagen to me is like Joseph and Diesels. It don't happen. And what was the other one?
It was
Montego, nah. Too old at. So yeah, Cavalier for me.
By 1994, Montego was only being made with, I think, mainly
petrol with a diesel.
I think you couldn't get an MG one anymore. No. The most interesting Montego at the time would have been the Countryman Estate in dark green. I don't think you get a leather one. I'm not sure you get leather interior now. I can't remember now.
No, you didn't.
No, because one of my friend's mothers had a Countryman Estate in green when I was at prep school about 93, 94. And she had one of those. For me, I think, again, I'm going to pick the Cavalier CDX facelift.
Yeah.
I like the Montego, but it has to be a little bit earlier when they actually had a bit more choice. Because as I say, the only decent 2 litre one that's not forbidden fuel is the Countryman.
The thing is, though, with the Mondeo as well, you only got one winter out of them before the bumpers bust.
Yeah, the headlights
went yellow. And the reason why all the bumpers break on the Mondeos is behind the actual plastic moulding of the bumper. It's foam. And dampness and all the wet from underneath the car spray soaks into the foam. And overnight it swells up and freezes and busts the bumper. And that's what it used to do. And they look crap. It was a terrible design.
Yeah, it's the same on the Mark 6 Escort. Yeah. Same issue. Yeah. Were the facelift Mark II Mondeos a bit better?
A little bit, but they still did it. Yeah,
the
Mark 1s and early Mark 2s are terrible.
Didn't have the yellow headlight, though, did they?
Didn't have the yellow headlights and stuff. With the amount of MOTs they used to fail, even when the first MOT for broken bumpers, it was terrible. It was ridiculous, and Ford never recalled it.
Yeah. Right, next question. Said the Pesh not handsome as you two studs. We don't know, sir, because the profile picture you have could be anybody. We don't know. This is the anonymity of the internet.
Yes.
Jonathan Bramble. My father had a Mark II Granada gear in Strato Silver.
Same as mine.
Under the door rubber, it was blue. So obviously someone's painted that, haven't they?
Yeah.
Fine looking motor, indeed, a beautiful car. Paulie, Moonraker Blue is the best road colour. It's not bad, yeah, it's a pretty decent colour, very 80s.
Moonraker Blue is nice. On an SD1, that's a nice colour, that is.
Mr. Saxby, I presume this is still about the Jeep Renegade. The radio is temperamental and changes itself. Yeah, the radios in Jeep Renegades are really poor. The worst radio in that sort of car is the pre-facelift Fiat Tipo. The radios in those before they facelifted them just this last few months, absolutely terrible. Probably the same part actually. Trabally 2-litre Cavalier GSI all day.
Yeah.
Is that the turbo you mean?
Yeah.
Turbo. Okay.
Probably GSI.
I'd
GSI 2000 or GSI Turbo. I'd 4x4 one. There's no one.
4x4. I personally would go for a CDX and have a nice leather interior, but the 4x4 turbo. Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. I would go with the. Me personally, I'll go with the GSI 2000, and because I think they're nice, and I like the booted one as well. And I've raced one; it was great.
So Mark III Cavalier Saloons are quite good bang races then.
Yeah.
There's not many left, are there?
That's why.
So the Soda Pash may be back shortly. Your lady wife wants a toasted hot cross bun. Funnily enough, Soda Pash, I had a toasted hot cross bun for my breakfast, and my lady wife made that for me. I had 2 of them. They were very nice.
Hot cross bun.
You don't like them, sir?
Currants in them.
You don't like dried fruit, do you, Mr. Coleman? No, not a massive fan of the dried fruit. Right. Anybody else got any other questions? Whilst Soda Pash makes a toasted hot cross bun for his lady wife, Mr. Saxby. My neighbour has a P-Reg Corsa, that'll be a Corsa B, and cleans the rear window with a broom.
What's she scantily clad? What's he on about now?
It's about my lady wife.
Oh.
Miss Soda Pash, I think you're on the wrong channel to be asking questions like that. Saxby's dark green. Yeah, a lot of cars were dark green in the mid-90s. A lot of Daewoo Nexias were dark green for some reason.
Yeah, and usually one on the Generation game.
Yeah, exactly. Generation game.
Play Card Rock, Bob Monkhouse. Fantastic programme.
HHR Rover 400s often were green as well. I actually had an HHR 400 in green, and it was automatic. It was automatic with parking sensor that never worked. Mr. Coleman, Rover 216 Vitesse or Orion 1.6 gear, both F-Reg. That'd be Mark II Orion.
Yeah, I'll go with the Rover 216 because they look great, they drive great. The Orion, well,
it's Mr. Quirk's favourite car, isn't it?
It is Mr.
Three
Quirk.
of them.
It is Mr. Quirk's favourite car, and I'm with those era Ford, particularly with front-wheel drive and the CVH engine. CVH engine was a god-awful, horrible piece of thing. And the odds are the battery tray's probably rusted out of it, and the amount of them I used to see back in the day, particularly on Escorts and Escort vans, where the battery tray had rusted out, it fell through the bulkhead, and the battery was just swinging in the passenger floor pan, just on its wires. So for that reason, mate, I'll be going with the Rover Vitesse.
I looked at the Mark II Fiesta battery tray, and there was nothing to it whatsoever.
No,
I imagine those would rust out too, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they're not as bad as the Escorts.
Really?
Yeah, they're not as bad as the Escorts. So because they've bent, there's plenty of air to get underneath.
Yeah, there's nothing in the engine bay of the Mark II Fiesta.
On the 3 and 4 Escorts and Orions, you just literally sit the battery on top of the bulkhead, and it's just got a couple of clamps around it, and it just fills with water and rusts out. It's crap.
It's like those spark plug tubes on the Mark II Focus 1.8. It fills up with water. Right, okay. Sean Cook, looks like the Cavalier by a mile. Yeah, we do like a nice Mark III Cavalier saloon. Particularly for me, the dark green with a beige leather interior. But Mr. Coleman, the GSI 2000.
Yes.
With headlamp wipers.
With headlamp wipers.
Yeah.
And black.
Yeah. Excellent. So the patch is back. What's the wish for kind of drinking? Well, we're both actually drinking lemon Fanta. This evening. I had a cheeky Cronenberg just before.
Yeah, he's had a cheeky Cronenberg.
Yeah, cheeky Cronenberg. Yeah.
I'm on pop because it's a school night and I've got to be up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes, indeed. You're going to work, aren't you, sir?
Yeah.
Oh, look. Mr. Bill from Wells Wheels is online.
Hello, Bill.
Mr. Bill. Mr. Jake Bill.
Mr. Jake Bill.
Yes. The man of many unusual cars. Mr. Saxby, how do engine bays get dirty? My grandmother's Focus, the 60 that'll be a Mark II, like the one I drove today. Engine bay looks brand new and never been cleaned.
It's probably because it's got a sunk guard on it.
Yeah, it's mainly just due to driving. It's really the winter, isn't it? Or like
salt and dust that does it.
In the countryside.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Mr. Traveller disagrees with your choice about the SD3 of the Orion. Yeah. He says, yes, it's the Orion with peppered alloys.
Nice looking car. I'll give you that, mate. They're a lovely looking car, but I just don't like them. I'd rather, with that choice, I'd be with the Rover. But if you'd have asked me Orion or Renault 11, for instance, or Renault 9, I'd have gone with the Orion. Yeah. Just put a better car. I'd prefer the Rover because to me, it's a better car.
Sorry, my WhatsApp keeps coming up. Right. Oh, Mr. Barnes.
Hello, Barnes.
Mr. Barnes. Good evening, sir. Do you have any questions for Mr. Coleman? Right, Jonathan Bramble. I can't believe car models of old Fords are really stupid money. Mini Champs RS Fords are over £600. Wow.
Yeah, I've got some decent models somewhere.
I presume the Mini Champs is what, made of the 80s or something?
Yeah, they are, yeah. And
Smart One Granada?
Yes, I've got a few bits and bobs on display. But yeah, I collect Granadas, so if anybody wants to send me some Granada models, hit me up.
Yeah. Paulie asks about the Vauxhall Carlton Diplomat. Funnily enough, I saw two Carltons the other day. I was out with a friend of mine and we were going around looking at some old cars. We found two very, very late Carltons. One was
the Diplomat was a run-out model.
Yeah,
and they did the Diplomats were I think black and like a dark damsony red colour, and they were 2 litres. And they had the Carlton Diamond as well. Yeah, I've owned a Carlton Diamond. Yeah, and they were usually the estates, and they had the 2.6 engine in.
One of the ones we saw was actually a diamond. It was black estate. Yeah, it was a diamond. Yeah. The other one was a 2 litre L. Again, very late and an L plate. And it looked to a tow bar in front of a caravan. That's usually where they used to be found, wasn't it, Carlton, back in the day, towing caravans. We'll refresh the questions here. So Depeche, I must admit to liking the new Ford Puma. Looks great in the flesh. You probably get a very sort of positive answer about that from Mr. Coleman. So Depeche.
Okay. It's a new car. It's a new modern car. It's a lot worse out there.
Yeah, there are. To be honest, there's some pretty hideous looking cars. The new Hyundai Tucson. I bet Hyundai is generally a very well engineered cars, but it's just their design department. The new i20 and the Tucson are just not very nice looking cars. The Pumas are probably better looking, and also with the Puma, I was very, very, very blessed to be able to go to Goodwood in 2019 Festival of Speed, where they had the UK debut of the Puma. And one of the things I noticed when looking around it with Mr. Kurt from Planet Auto was the fact that you can actually take all the boot out and there's like a hole in the bottom. And you can actually, if you've got wet stuff, it just drains straight out the hole in the bottom. Yeah. Which I think is very clever. It's a very big boot. I wouldn't actually mind driving one of those. It's nothing like the original Puma, nothing whatsoever. But as far as modern cars go, I don't think they're too bad. I've got more questions here, sir. Henry Bob Blundell, what do you think of the S85 V8? S85 V8? I don't know what an S85 V8 is.
No. Elaborate on that one a bit more, mate.
Is that an S8 V10, like an Audi S8?
Audi S8 V10, yeah. It'll probably be a good car, big car. And that's what Les has got.
He's got an S8 V10?
Well, yeah, S8. Oh, it's a V10 or not.
Oh, right, yeah. Wales, Mr. Bill. I saw a Fiat 126P out and about today on Polish plates. Yeah, made in Poland, of course. Yeah. That's, again, very much sort of Miller Corner stuff. It's not really sort of my bag. Right. Here's one for you, Mr. Coleman. For Traveller, what's the worst condition car you've ever had to fail an MOT?
Oh,
The Citroen was pretty bad, but
the Citroen was pretty bad, but
didn't
I didn't do anything on that. Oh, I can't remember. It was one. Oh, there's been a few. I remember being part of one. I think it had 49 items on it. It was an Audi of some description, and that was a long time ago. That was me and my mate Neil did that. The car, I think it was only 4 years old as well, and they had all sorts.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that's that one. Audis.
Right, Mr. Barnes. Mr. Coleman, as an Alpha fan and owner, what would you say is one of your favourite Alphas of all time? I think that's an easy question for you to answer.
You'll be surprised when I say this.
I
surprised Chris today. But actually, with the Alfa Romeo Alpha 6, which is one of my favourites, because if it wasn't for that car, you wouldn't have the legendary Busso engine now, because that car was developed first to run the Busso engine. And for me, as an Alpha fan, the Alpha 6 is Genesis, because it had that V6 in it first time round. But trying to find an Alpha 6, because let's face it, they weren't very good. They didn't sell many. I'm never going to be able to own one, so I've got the next best thing parked outside with a buggered engine in it. And my favourite Alpha, closest that I can get to the 6, is actually an Alpha 90. And so I hope that answers your question, mate.
I don't think there are any 6s on the road at the moment, are there, in this country?
One.
There is one.
Yeah.
There's still one. Okay. Right. Yeah, with Mr. Barnes. Yeah, I've got your email, sir. I haven't had a chance to get around to it because I've been filming today. So I haven't got round to replying to email, but I have got it. Thank you. Mr. Saxby, how long till electric cars stop having an E in their names because it gets silly at some point when they're so popular? The thing is that by 2030, all cars in this country will either have to be electric or hybrid, and it won't be a new thing anymore, and they'll just have to just call them normal names. That's just what will have to
They
happen.
probably will do, but like I've been saying as well, they'll probably get to 2030 and they'll think, what's better than electric? They'll come out with something else, and then all the electric cars will be obsolete. So
Yeah, well,
it's all much of a muchness as far as I'm concerned.
oh right, okay. Oh, here we are. How do you run down? No, the BMW E60 M5. Oh dear, that's not a reliable car. That one.
No, they're not.
Yeah, not one of my favourites.
No, they're not. They're pretty bad actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're good at eating suspension components and brake lines. The brake lines fall off of them pretty much every couple of years, and if you replace them with stainless ones, which you can get, you won't have a problem with them. But that's the biggest failure point on them: is front suspension bushes and ball joints and brake pipes.
On the E60s, Mr. Richardson, if he was driving, had one. That is probably the worst car he's ever had. Was an E60 Forbidden Fuel Touring. It's the worst car he ever had, I think. And on Hoovy's Garage, which I know this one was particularly light, but just example, he had an M5 E60. It was terrible. Right. Yes, I think this is a question for you, Mr. Coleman. Have you seen the Alpha 90 on eBay?
Yeah. Watch this space because I'm bidding on it.
Yeah. Okay, Mark on motoring. New Puma looks okay, but why do Ford call it a Puma? It's not one. Original Puma all the way. Original Pumas, I mean, it's the same as a Ford Ka or a Mark 345 Fiesta. I mean, rust is just, it's appalling on those. Absolutely appalling. I'd like to try original Puma before they all dissolve. I've driven a Ka and a Mark 5 Fiesta. Mark 5 Fiesta was actually really good. That was a Z-Tech engine one. It's brilliant. I'd like to try a Puma with 1.7. And problem is with 1.7 Pumas, most of them have dissolved, and so they only just go straight into Mark 345 Fiesta. So that's why there hardly any left. Mr. Cox, hello. I didn't let in the stream. We have put it on the community page twice.
Live stream.
Yeah, we did. Jonathan Bramble, is it me or are larders from the 80s and 90s looking really cool these days?
Yeah, they are. Buy one before they go stupid. I've had a few people contact me saying, what do you think? Buy one because they're the cool thing to have.
Reliable, aren't they?
They're very reliable. I haven't got a bad word to say about them, and yes, they are. Along with the old Volvos and that of the 80s and 90s, they're starting to become the cult classic. So if you find a cheap larder, buy one because you won't lose. They're fantastic.
But the steering's really heavy in them, isn't it?
It is, but if you grow up and be a man, you're going to have a problem with it. They're absolutely great.
Push-pull steering.
Push-pull steering.
Yeah. Jonathan Bramble states, Mr. Bill from Walls Wheels. Don't know why, but the face of the new Puma reminds me of the front end of the Ford Scorpio.
It does. Yeah. and I had somebody say to me about the new Ford Puma a couple of weeks ago, going on about it looking like stuff, and said it looks like Fred Dibner. And I was like, can I have some of what you're on? Because it looks nothing like Fred Dibner. It's ugly, but Fred Dibner wasn't ugly. The Scorpio, ugly, but not as ugly as the new Ford Puma. What do you think?
I don't know. The post-facelift Scorpios were the better looking ones, and of course that's the one I drove before it sadly died the next day.
Yeah, before we killed it off.
The ECU died on it or something.
Yeah.
I thought it were all right. The estates are much better looking than the saloons.
Yeah, they are.
Much better. And the one I drove is actually they're actually really nice cars to drive. I wouldn't recommend the Forbidden Fuel one. One, because it's Forbidden Fuel, and secondly, it was so unbelievably slow. No throttle response whatsoever in that. With a nice Cologne engine one would be good.
Yeah, 2.0 one would be nice.
Yeah. Furkan Kavzor, when is the Fiat Tipo based car coming that you asked last time? It's actually already out. The Fiat Tipo Cross is available to order now. It's got a 1 litre mild hybrid unit in it from the Fiat 500.
Oh dear.
It's better than the Tipo Saloon was one of the most disappointing cars I've actually done a walk around on. A very disappointing car, unfortunately.
I've actually seen one of them out and about.
Yeah.
There's only been one.
They're not bad looking cars from the outside. You get in,
They're still selling them.
The Tipo Saloon's gone.
It's gone.
The Saloon's gone. There's nothing to them inside. The top of the range one was like just had no equipment in it. Every plastic was like something out of a Dacia. It was awful. Right, here we go. Mr. Sachs, this is a very good question. Why does the Ford EcoSport exist with a Puma now? I have no idea. The EcoSport is a terrible car.
Is that thing that looked a bit like it had a fake spare wheel on the boat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Mark 7 Fiesta, but worse.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know. Right, Mr. Barnes. This is another Alpha question, sir.
Go for it.
What's my thing gone? Yes, we go. I've only been in the Alpha scene for less than a year. This is Mr. Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing and hearing a 3.2 Busso in person is a serious highlight.
It is. Yeah, there's no real difference between a 2.5 and a 3 litre. It's all exactly the same block. 3.2s are not the most reliable engines. They sound nice, like all Bussos do, but knowing them things firsthand, getting bits for a 3.2 is pretty rough. They're not good, and it was the last engine, obviously, that Alpha built before General Mess took over everything. And you know, it's great, but the spares back up because they're in the process of doing like a re-engineering. They did a lot of rewiring and putting different camshafts in that 3.2 engine, and it wasn't in production long enough for the spares to become available. And if your 3.2 goes wrong, it's going to cost you big bucks. That's why I prefer the 3 litre.
Yeah. Another Alpha question for you, sir. The Alfa Romeo 75. Any thoughts?
Yeah, ballistic, great. Basically, it's the same as my 90 underneath, with a few modifications. But yeah, they're an awesome car. Get an early one, and they're just great. They're absolutely fantastic. Not a bad word to say about them. Just watch your eye on the rust and make sure that if you go for a V6 one, which any sensible person would, just make sure it's in good condition. Keep the cam belt change on it.
Yeah, every couple of years.
Every 2 years on those. Every 2 years, 24,000 miles. Whatever comes first.
Right, we've got this. I think this is probably a question for me, I suppose, Mr. Common. Mr. Cox, my cousin is looking for a first car. He wants something cheaper to insure and has a budget of £5,000. Any cars you recommend? Just get to watch the Sensible Second-Hand Reviews playlist, because that's what we do. We look for sensible cars for under £5,000. But I would throw into there, and this is the first car you should look at, is an MG3. Absolutely. Classic first car. The ones before 2018 are Group 4 insurance. Without modifications, they're one of the best cars of that type to drive. Either my favourites of that type of car are either an MG3 or a Mark III Kia Rio. Suzuki Swift's quite good as well. Right, next question. I think it's Sir Depeche. Sir Depeche had a Lada Riva 1.5 SL and made money after 3 years. That's very good news, Sir Depeche. Mr. Barnes, have you seen a recent increase in demand for the Mark 1 Audi S3. It's not really your kind of car.
It's not really my.
No.
It's not, I'm not being ignorant when I say that. It's just something, we all have our favourites and things that we don't like. For me personally, I've had a lot of experience with the Volkswagen Audi group. I don't know an awful lot about it because I just regard the products as rubbish. Just because it's my personal feelings of it, and you know what it is. It's like certain football teams, rugby teams. And if you don't like them, you don't want to know. So, and that's the attitude that I take to it. So I'm not being ignorant when I say I don't know or I can't give any advice. It's just that brand I'm not interested in, and it's just my personal choice.
Right. So we've got another question here. Well, actually, finish off that one. It's a car that always look of faceless, but it's got a drug dealer yobbo scene. It's terrible. Like you get pulled over in an S3. You get pulled over in one of those. What's the most reliable car you've ever owned?
Me? Oh, BMW E28 525e.
How many miles do you do in that?
I did about between 90 and 100,000 in it. And when I bought it off of my good mate Stuart, he used it as his business car, and he had it for about 18 years, and he put nearly 700,000 miles on it. It was on its original engine, and I bought it because he just fancied something a bit different. I says, I'm having that car with a lot of miles on it, and it was probably one of all the cars I've owned, it's probably one of the best I've ever had. It was fantastic. And I still have it now if it didn't catch fire, because I had a fuel pipe burst under the bonnet, and right next to the live fuel injectors, and had a bit of a fire under the bonnet. Took all the engine bay wire and loom out, put a nice big golden eagle in the bonnet, and that was that. I ended up breaking it for spares. I did make money, but I ended up breaking it for spares. Sad times.
It's a shame because the E28s are lovely, aren't they?
Yeah.
525Es are rare, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Very rare. So the most reliable cars I've had, the Seat Toledo was a very reliable car. Extremely reliable car. Not surprising because I bought it new. And I think the only thing Mr. Coleman did on it was swap the tyres around on it.
I did, yeah. So all I did was switch the tyres around on it.
Nothing
It was
else.
just getting a bit worn.
Yeah, there's nothing else to do on it. The MG3 wasn't bad. It had a couple of issues. The Lively's been absolutely fine. I've done nothing to that at all.
Yeah.
Apart from top up I think I put a little bit of oil in it. I've topped up the coolant very slightly, and that's it. That's coming in for a service for about 2,000 miles. But then I keep buying new cars because I need to run around the country with clients and stuff, so that just work better for me. Mark Motoring says, all Fords do rust on rear arches. Yes.
Yeah.
Ford got the handling right on the car, Puma and Mark 1 Focus.
Yeah.
That's right. We had a 2004 car, that was great. They're great until they rust. Pretty good. Actually, handling is brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant car.
Not much room if you're tall. Not much room at all, really. But they're not bad. Much better than dog crossovers. Be talking about dog crossovers. I love my Tivoli. Sean Cook search mode. I didn't buy a one owner. I bought a one owner. I didn't buy a one owner 1988 Lada 1200L with 55,000 miles. I've regretted every day since. The steering was okay. Well, there we go.
Good car.
This is an interesting question, Mr. Common. Any thoughts on the Hyundai Sonata? I've just bought a V6. It's apparently only one on the road. I don't think it probably will be anyone on the road because there are later generations of Sonata with a V6 that will be. It depends what Mark. Are you talking about the Mark 1 Sonata? Because the Mark 1 Sonata is really rare. That's sort of Jude Curry territory in Soul Classics, really.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to think about that one.
Never seen one of those.
If it's got the, I was trying to think. Is it V6? Did you say?
V6 Sonata, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be all right. That will. I'm just thinking. I can't even remember. It's very similar to what went into the original Sedona V6. It's scaled down.
Yeah. It wasn't the if you look at the KB6 one. There was a KB6 Sedona. It's a Hyundai engine now.
Hyundai engine. It's a 3.3 that's in the Sedona, and it's scaled down. I can't remember what it's called, but
no, I don't remember.
That'll be an half decent engine. That will.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Mr. Trabley, what's the fastest car you owned in the first 5 years of passing your test?
Oh, Sierra Cosworth.
Yeah.
2 of them.
For me, it's very boring. The fastest one I had was a 90 brake horsepower Mazda 323F with 1.5 engine. Same car as Ian Seabrook, but in much better condition. And I had a special edition as well. Beautiful handling on those, but they're not very fast in a straight line.
No.
Paulie, the BMW United was rubbish. Yeah. Furkan Kessel, thoughts on the Fiat Tempera. You don't like this, do you, Mr. Coleman?
Well, Fiat couldn't even get the name right, because what it actually means is this Fiat temperamental, because they are very temperamental. And I actually seen one yesterday when I went to see my friends up north. And
Do they have one or something?
they do, yeah. And
Wow.
it's yeah, everybody calls them a temperamental. And the car that the temperamental replaced, the Fiat Regretta.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Italian cars, but no, not for me. Not for me. Cool looking car. I'd probably, yeah, the few that have survived now, fair play, because they're interesting, but they weren't very good, were they?
Yeah, there's hardly any left.
Yeah.
Mr. Richardson drove one and he liked it, but it's not quite me. One of those.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a Tipo. The Tipo actually was quite good for rust protection. Actually,
Yeah,
so
T-Pros are okay.
quite good for rust protection. Mr. Saxby, everybody keeps asking this question. I've got my answer. But my answer is actually coming out in a video on Friday because I actually did drive. I drove a Mondeo today. I actually talked about this and on the last live stream as well. What are your thoughts on the demise of the Mondeo?
It's run its course, to be fair. Yeah, sad to see it go, but you know, Ford are doing the thing and moving with the times, and yeah, it's been, let's face it, it's been on the cards because
It
it's
has.
just gone on too long. It's a bit like it's a bit like an Emerson, Lake and Palmer song, and it's just gone on 2/3 too long. And yeah, I'm actually glad they've took it out of production. To be honest, it was getting embarrassing.
The thing is about the Mondeo is the sales were so low, and I have driven a Mark IV Mondeo, and it was Mark IV and Mark V. It's a Mark V actually.
Good cars.
Current one. It's all right. The one I drove was a really bad spec. It was an ST line with a forbidden fuel engine in it, and it was really bad. Suspension was way too firm in it, and the interior I think was worse than Skoda Octavia.
Yeah.
It just wasn't that impressive. And the thing is, these days, if you want decent PCP residuals, you have to have an SUV or a premium brand, or preferably both. And the Mondeo was neither. And so nobody bought the fleets didn't buy them because residuals were so bad. Just not a fashionable car, and it's sad, but it's been on the cards for ages. Ages and ages and ages. It just don't make any money either. For one. Mr. Cox, my grandmother has given her 45 Saloon 1.6 to her father. She had to go driving 28,000 miles. Yeah, there's loads of 45 saloons out there with K-series engines in them. Sean, best temper was a 2-litre SW, great car, practical engine. Well, we haven't got any left to test them really. There's just hardly any left. Mr. Barnes, definitely agree with you, Mr. Coleman, on the previous S3 question. I think you're paying for badge rather than quality. I'll add to that, Mr. Barnes, by saying that last year the number 2 best-selling brand in this country was BMW. So if you buy a Vauxhall Insignia, you are being rebellious, or an Astra. An Astra, you are being rebellious because it's way out of the top 10. The Astra now. I'm surprised that Vauxhall discontinued both. It's quite weird, really. Right, next one. He's got the 3-litre V6.
Yeah, good engine.
Sonata. I can't remember if that is the first Hyundai V6 or Mitsubishi. I don't remember.
So Mitsubishi engine, if it's a 3-litre, get sure you put a timing belt on it if it hasn't been done, because that will end in serious tears.
Yeah.
But yeah, good engine otherwise.
Oh dear, Mr. Cox, Peugeot 407 SW. Next. Next. Sorry, it's almost, we can't talk about that, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's not good. Particularly forbidden fuel ones. Mr. Saxby, first generation Vectra, it's a Vectra B.
Yeah.
Do you like those, Mr. Coleman?
Yeah, do. V6 ones are awesome, particularly in an estate. Really easy to work on, cheap to buy still, so you can find one. If you can SRI or a GSI with a V6 in it, go and buy one, because they're going to be soon, and finding a decent one is they are out there, and if I was a Vauxhall man, I think I'll be driving one of them, and or an Amiga.
Yeah,
it's my Amiga.
I don't like driving position in Vectra B. It's not great. Me and Subaru have the same thing when he had his. We might actually have a Vectra B coming up on No Budget Reviews quite soon. I have actually been offered one. That might be coming up quite soon. Yeah, I have driven one. I didn't find it very comfortable. It's not the most charismatic car. We're talking about a four-cylinder ones here rather than Mr.
V6.
Coleman. Mr. Coleman, I don't think would even bother with a four-cylinder one.
No.
And of course the bid and fuel ones. We don't talk about those. I don't think you're going to be able to answer this question, Mr. Coleman. Thoughts on a Mitsubishi Charisma and the 2005 Mitsubishi Colt?
No. Next.
I love a Mitsubishi Charisma. I'd really like to have one, particularly a really late one. I really want one with the GDI engine. I think Mr. Coleman would rather have a Volvo S40.
Yeah.
Same floor plan, everything. Yeah. But same factory, wasn't it, as well in the Netherlands?
Factory,
yeah. I
Engine.
think some of the S40s had the GDI, didn't they? Oh gosh, that's a Dutch name. Marin Javela.
Yeah,
sorry if I said that wrong.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, that should be. My gosh, I think this is really you, Mr. Coleman. Clarion, Pioneer, Kenwood, or Nakamichi headlights of the 90s. I can't really
Clarion are a good one.
Yeah.
They always used to be good, clear for sound. Pioneers, I always used to find a lot of Pioneers in Vauxhalls. And they're okay, but for me personally, I've actually got a couple of Clarion head units in the garage. So I'll be with Clarion, mate, there.
Yeah. Dana says the Sonata's only 143 horsepower V6. Yeah, my Rover 45 V6 is only 150 horsepower. It's nothing special. They
really,
often sort of weren't.
Yeah.
I'd love to drive an old Sonata. No budget reviews would be brilliant. Belt's already been done. Brilliant.
Oh, sweet.
I think it's for the last question because we've run over an hour on a live stream now. Mr. Coleman's got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry.
So this is a good question for you. Fuck and Kev sort of thoughts on Renault 11 has shown him a £500 Santa Pod challenge. It's still around, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, a really good friend of mine, Ryan's bought that, and he's one of those people out there that do actually like Renaults, and fair play to him. He's got a collection of very nice older Renaults, and when I did buy the Renault 11 in the first place, knowing that Ryan would buy it off of me anyway, I just went through it, and it's he looks after it. He lives outside for the time being because he's in the process of doing some bits and bobs on it, but he's got I think he's doing a Renault 25 up at the minute as well. I think
that's a nice car, that.
Yeah, and I think the Renault's next, but that was a good car. That was a good laugh, that was, and comedy handling all day long, and it did good wheel spins as well, didn't it?
I don't know if it's on which channel it's on. It's either on Furious Driving or Lloyd's Mechanical Marvels, but we had this bit where we actually see tyre smoke coming from 11. Bear in mind, I think it had 70 horsepower.
Yeah.
The engine.
I did play with the carburetor a little bit.
Yeah, it had been slightly upped a bit. But yeah, it's. I did drive it, and I the only problem was the clutch in it wasn't very good.
That's why they're all like it.
The clutch wasn't great in it, but it is a car that actually my family members used to own one in France, via turbo in the early 90s. My grandfather's cousin, who was absolutely insane. He drove us on a motorway in it at 110 miles an hour. Absolute madness. Marie Cox, Mr. Cox. Thoughts on a Mark 1 Twingo we didn't get? It's not much of a car.
I've driven one as a rental car in Lanzarote once before, and I drove it like a rental car everywhere. And it had flat spots in the wheels, scrapes up the side. It was a good job I left it at the airport for me, and the other half flew home because I think I'd have lost my deposit.
Oh dear, sir. Mr. Anton's evening does something both well. Yeah, we're finishing quite soon, I'm afraid. But thank you for making anyway. Travelly, have I ever crossed my arms when doing the steering and push pull? I don't tend to cross my arms. I'm sorry, I just don't. That's just the way it goes. Dana, you're going to have a go do a video on it, pass through Norfolk. If you send me an email, Dana, if you go onto the contact tab on my channel homepage and click the button to show you're not a robot, then my email address is on there. Please send me an email. I have got another car that I need to film in Norfolk as well, so that'll be wonderful. So Mark on motoring, glad we're running and found a good home. Yeah, it's fine. He's probably he's a specialist, Ryan.
Ryan is, he's a really good dear friend of mine, and he was more than welcome to it, and I know it's gone to a good home, and he loves it to bits. And yeah, it'll be nice. You probably will see it again on the channel soon. So I did say to him when he's finished it and when he's restored it and doing what he wants to do, I'll have it back and bring it back in a couple of years' time and put it back on my channel.
Gloppy Band 24/7, ever driven a Volvo limo? That's probably one of your fans, I should say. Driven a Volvo limo. I think.
Oh yeah.
Lots of both. Lots of Volvo limousine. There's a Volvo limousine on Mr. Coleman's channel. I think it's an S90. The engine blows clean out of it.
Yeah.
Whilst doing some practice
sideways.
laps.
Sideways.
Absolutely fantastic. Sean Cook over 11. Boston 1.2 special edition. That's like a sort of Monaco, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, last couple of questions. Toyota Pesh Mode, Mining Object, what's a favourite classic car? That's easy for me. Lancia Fulvia, coupe. Very
I
nice.
need to give that one some thought because there's a lot. I quite like a Jensen Interceptor.
Yeah.
Just because it'd be nice to say, shall I go out in the Alpha 90 tonight or shall we go in the Jensen? Just for that reason only.
In the Protectors, Robert Vaughan, of course, drove an Interceptor. I think it was like Series 2 or something. I would like to drive a Jensen Interceptor. Have to be an automatic for me.
They're great.
Probably one of as similar as possible to the one Robert Vaughan had in the Protectors, I think. Mark on Motoring, get 25 on my channel. Yeah, I'd love to have 25 on my channel. Okay, good night, gents. Depeche by E-Type.
Thank you, guys.
I have driven an E-Type, so Depeche. It's on Tree Jacket Reviews. I did like it, but I prefer the Fulvia. The Fulvia is a bit of a smaller car, and the bonnet on an E-Type is so long, it's very impractical when coming out of junctions. It's fantastic, but right. Yes, good night, Mr. Bill.
Yes,
so
thanks,
good night to everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to Robert's Mechanic, and then he can do his own live streams.
Yeah, just get anybody to subscribe, anybody, and we can have a laugh. We can do this most evenings if you like.
I think we've got some videos coming up on things like antifreeze, dual-mass flywheels, and also the Ford DLD 416 forbidden fuel engine, quite possibly the worst forbidden fuel engine ever, and you won't believe the number of cars went into it. The Rubbish Mechanic is Mr. Coleman's YouTube. It's in the title of the video.
Yeah, just go to it. There's only me on there, so
okay.
You see this, you know it's me.
Okay. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.